Welcome to Stop the Ride, a sober curious podcast for anyone whose relationship with drugs or alcohol has ever felt a little bit like a roller coaster. I'm your host, Drew Valentino. Sobriety can mean different things to different people, so each week I sit with a new guest to share their unique sober journey. So whether you're an addict or just somebody that likes to party, you can sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. My name is Drew Valentino, and today I have a very special guest. Maybe you've heard of him from last season, Bryan Valerio.
Hello there.
Hi. Thanks for coming back.
Thank you for having me again.
I know. Yeah. You just love coming.
I do.
Well, as I have explained previously, Bryan is one of my best friends, and he last season explained how and why he is sober. Oh, sorry. The whole episode. You're hurting me. We explained how and why he came into sobriety shortly after I did the second time and how we bonded over that. And now that we have both of those stories out of the way, we wanted to do something a little different and talk about an actual more specific topic rather than our background story. And today we decided that we are going to focus on interpersonal relationships. Bryan, you in your episode touched on something that I think was really relatable to a lot of people that I really liked talking about a lot, and that was how the drinking got in the way or affected your dating life. So let's talk about that.
Yeah. Well, well, you know, when you just think about dating itself, right? The whole purpose of it is you want to try to get to know the other person. And why are you trying to get to know them? Because you're maybe seeing if this person is going to be someone that you can call a partner at some point. I mean, obviously people can date for fun as well, but a lot of the reason you go on a date is you want to really see what this person is, who this person is, and if they're going to fit into your life. And in order to do that, you have to be aware. You have to be present. You have to be mindful of what's happening in that moment when they're saying things, when they're doing things. And so if you are drinking alcohol, for me, when drinking alcohol, it was like I was just having a great time, regardless of who that person might have been. And not being able to, really understand or see that moment for a learning opportunity on that person, because that's it. I once that first drink, started to run through, and then the second one did. It's like everything is rose-colored glasses. Like you're just super happy to be on this date with this person, but it's like, do I even really like them? Do they like me? Should I try to see if there's anything here? I know, for instance, I had an example would be like I went on a couple of dates with this guy, almost 5 dates. And like when I think about it now, we could have understood that this was done after date 1. When I really start to think about it, it's like, I probably didn't see some of these signs of either his reactions to things, like him backing away or him not being as interested, or even myself, like not paying attention to some of the details that he may have told me already that I didn't really see as like a red flag or not a red flag, but you know what I mean? Like a yellow flag. Yeah, not a green flag. Right, like a caution, like take note of that, because, this is something that's going to matter later on in that like dating phase, and also too when you're in a relationship. And so, I know for me, being sober and dating sober, I feel like I'm making better decisions when it comes to going on dates. I'm asking better questions. They're a little more targeted and direct. I'm really comprehending and understanding, what it is they're telling me as
You're
well.
probably leaving knowing way more about the person.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Like, and I'm able to make that decision within the first or second date of, is this something that I actually want? Because I'm going in there with more intention, right? And that intention is being executed with clarity versus just I want to date and I want to find a partner, but what does that actually mean? And how are you going to do that if you really don't even know what's happening in that moment? Right. Like, and you're just blurred. And
finding a partner also is such an important thing to so many people, and it's it's such a huge life decision. Like who you end up with is what affects your whole life. So it's like, it's interesting how more often than not that the date which is the very first step of trying to make that happen, often starts out with a drink. Or a bump of Coke, depending on which app you're using.
Where you met, right?
Right.
Like if you say you were at a party and you did meet somebody and you guys were both did Coke or you both did K or you both did Molly, you're about to fall in love with that person.
Yeah, but in reality, you just like Molly.
Yeah, and it's like, I'm not quite sure that that's the love of your life.
That was my experience, and I think a lot of people's experience on the Atlantis cruise.
I remember that one.
But the one before that we went on the Atlantis cruise together, but the one before that,
he didn't invite me.
I didn't. And I met this couple that I was just obsessed with. I was just so into them, and they were into me, and it was just this really like amazing thing. And it's true. I even drugs aside, very attracted to each other. We connected. But the truth is that we did tons of ecstasy that week, and it was very like fantasy land. Mm-hmm. And when I left that week, in addition to coming down from ecstasy, which makes everything feel 10 times worse, I remember just feeling so unwell and so devastated because, well, first of all, they're a couple, so you know what I mean. So it's like, what am I gonna do with that, right? And second, I lived in New Jersey, they lived in Phoenix, but the truth is that, of course, I like I said, the attraction's there, the connection was there, but it was the Molly. It was the Molly that made it so that it's like Molly replicates that the feelings of like love,
right?
And that could be really dangerous for a lot of people, especially if it causes two people to get together that are in the wrong relationship, or if you meet under the circumstance of doing Molly, then you need to keep doing Molly for that to continue, and that's never.
I want to think that this is the point of Rihanna's song "We Found Love in a Hopeless Place."
that's literally what it was about.
I feel like that it really is, because you're such in this, you're in this fantasy, you're in this trance, and everything is just feeling so good that you're thinking this is love, and maybe it could be, but it's like, this is not where you'd want this to bloom. Like these are not the feelings, right? These are feelings that are just all over the place that you're just enjoying. And that's it. And then the dangerous part about that as well is that I think you always chase that. And we've talked about this. I think you've talked about it in previous episodes as well. Like, as an addict, you're chasing that first high.
Yeah.
As dating, if you get really drunk with someone for the first time and you have such a great time, I'm pretty sure you're gonna keep trying to chase that first time.
Yeah.
Like or if you were on Molly with that person for the first time, like you're gonna wanna keep trying to recreate that with that person, and then you realize that you're not even creating these sober present moments. You're just drinking all the time. And I've had friends who have said, I feel like we're always, especially in their beginning of dating, that they feel like they're always going out and drinking with the person that they're dating. And like they've said, oh, you know what, it's a couple months in, I'm gonna stop, and we have to like have a sober weekend. Like, think about that.
Yeah.
People have to stop and say, let's have a sober weekend.
Right.
Because
they drink so often.
And that's what they were doing together, right? Like, it just happened to be like, let's go to movies, let's have a drink. Let's, let's go to happy hour. Whatever you're doing, you're also involving alcohol with it, because it is so easy and accessible. And obviously you could do other drugs and go on dates. I'm pretty sure people do that.
Right. For sure.
Yeah. Like, there are probably some people who say, let's just hang out this weekend in the house and we'll do cocaine, or we'll do meth, or we'll do something, right? Because especially with meth being like a very sexual drug, if you meet someone and you're on that level, then I think that gives the opportunity of going, hey, let's meet up again and do this again with each other.
I didn't even think about that, being in a meth couple. That rattles me.
Yeah. I mean, you've experienced people who are on it though, right?
Yes.
Like, and that you've either had sex with or been involved with in some capacity. So like, what do you think about being a person who sees that? Like, you're just on the outside of it. Maybe not both the meth couple, but
Yeah, that's true. it's interesting how I have two major stories about me getting sober the first time with my friend that passed away when I got off of heroin, and then me getting sober the second time where I started to realize that I really beat myself up in guilt over my drug use in my adulthood with party drugs. But there's actually like a third piece of that leads to where I'm at with my sobriety and my feelings about sobriety that I don't really talk about, is that I became sober. And then 3 years ago, thank you. And then about 6 months into that, actually, it could have been around the same time, I hooked up with somebody. And it was literally just like a grinder, a non thing. Mm-hmm. And then we kept hooking up because it was good. And then it just kept getting better and more frequent. And this person is an active meth user, and I knew that. I heard rumors. I think I may have seen like party, look at a party in his profile before. And but the thing is, unlike all the other experiences I've had with people that I know are on meth, which I normally like actively avoid because a lot of times they just act crazy, and it's a bad experience. But there was something about this where he was never weird. Like, it was fine. Mm-hmm. The sex was always good. There was nothing wrong with the hookups, and we just kept ramping it up. What started out as like a once every month kind of thing turned into a once a week, turned into a daily, turned into honestly multiple times a day. And it was like incredible sex. And I knew that he was on meth, but we just didn't talk about it. Mm-hmm. And we didn't really hang out or talk outside of sex either. So that, until we did. Mm-hmm. And then eventually, about, I don't know, 6 months into us starting to have sex like almost every day or every day, we actually started texting more, and we decided to hang out. And then we started hanging out more. And like over time, we absolutely caught feelings for each other. Mm-hmm. Then it turns out that it's like, oh, we actually have a lot in common. Oh, we both really have these same hobbies. Oh, we're both really good at making it. And he would make me laugh so much too. And really, like, the feelings just really developed slowly over time. But he was on meth, and I'm sober. Mm-hmm. And it's like modern day, or like Los Angeles Romeo and Juliet. You know what I mean? Like, and it was really hard. It was really hard. Because I really, really did love and care. I still do. But in the moment, I really developed feelings and loved and cared about this person. And we had a conversation once about why would we ever date? And I had to say, no, we can't. And then like, he knew why, and we talked about that. And then from that point on was him trying to stop, or at least that's what I thought. And it was really, that's what I thought it was, but what it really was is, let me convince you I'm trying to stop so we can get us closer, or so you stick around. That's really what it was. And there was a year of that where, I was like borderline in love with this person, and he was trying to, I think there were times where I inspired him. That's how our mutual friend described it, is that there were times that I inspired him, where I do think that he did see the bright side of stopping. Mm-hmm. But ultimately he just wasn't ready and didn't really truly want to stop. And it was just really tough because I was lied to, and half the time I knew it, and I didn't care. badass though.
Hey.
The
things we do.
there was time, I was lied to, I was manipulated, and I think it sucked for both of us. Like, I think that he also, he knew what he was doing and felt bad about it, but he's in it. He was in it. And there was he couldn't just pull himself out, or I don't even know if he wanted to.
Yeah.
So me now, I feel even more bitter about just drugs in general. It's like, I went through all this stuff, finally come out of it, and then have these really strong feelings for somebody that's on meth and is like lying to me and manipulating to me for a year. And it was just really painful.
Yeah.
It was really painful.
I mean, being on the opposite end of that, right? Like, that they're a user, you see yourself getting lied to. Like, it's hard, but you care about somebody.
Yeah.
And this is something that I think a lot of people deal with when, they are around an active user or an addict that they love very deeply, that they care about, right? It's like, how do I show up for you, still want to support in a way, or hope that something could be different, but yet not lose myself in this, or like not lose my standards of what I know is what I want. Like, you knew this wasn't gonna work. I'm pretty sure at some point, you didn't want to tell yourself maybe like it wasn't going to, which is why you probably continued on.
I knew it.
But like, there was a part of you that was like, I hope maybe he gets clean.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure that which is why you stood there for longer, I think, and entertained it for longer. At that point, you said, you know what, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, because you said that took like a year.
Yeah.
But I mean, anyone who's in that situation now would say, well, why didn't you stop it the first time you realized it?
Yeah. And I want to make it clear that it's not that I was holding on thinking that he was gonna figure it out and we were gonna date. It's just that, like, we had such a strong connection. I enjoyed hanging out. I enjoyed having sex. It's not like I was intending to date, but I didn't have a reason or didn't want to stop hanging out. I liked it. We really liked each other. So it's like, why would we just stop? So, but you're right though. There was this glimmer of hope that, like, well, who knows? Maybe something. I knew that was not a reasonable goal, but I did think there could be a possibility,
Yeah.
But I do remember, and it just got worse because I also, first of all, he would get really irrationally upset with me over things that didn't make any sense. So that's the thing, is me just trying to maintain, like, let's just hang out even if this doesn't go anywhere and just continue to enjoy each other, was not sustainable because we were constantly fighting. And fighting meant for us was like yelling, sending horrible texts. And it was like this chaos of like back and forth, being all like mushy with each other and then not, and then fighting. And that went on for so long, and I was just so sick of it,
Yeah. Which it happens, I think, in dating or in any relationship, right? Everything's not going to be perfect. But, when those problems happen, or there is disagreements, or maybe insecurities come up or emotions come up within, if you're sober, you can process them probably a little better. Obviously, there's still emotional work everyone has to do in order to process things healthy or in a healthy manner. But like, if you're using or you're drinking alcohol and you're having these issues, it's going to be a lot harder to resolve them because there isn't going to be a mindfulness or a presence between one party or even both. Worse if it's both, that you're having an issue. I think I've mentioned this before, like, hearing a couple say, or someone tell a couple, like, oh, this would just be different if you guys weren't drunk, or if you weren't drinking. Like, they're different. Like, everything's different when they're not using. Everything's different when they're not drinking alcohol. And it's like, that's such a sad thing to hear from, one person in a couple, because like, that's sort of that underlying problem.
Yeah.
That if you were both if they were sober or if you're both sober, that things actually would maybe they would work out. Maybe things could like happen as you wish them to be. But
the reality is they are drinking.
Yeah.
They are. So that's the thing. And that's why I came to. So I remember finding out from one of his friends the backstory about him getting involved in meth. And what his life was before and where it was headed and what he was doing with his life. And he was very like driven. And hearing that story really broke me because I was in tears, both listening and also talking to my therapist about it. Because I think it was less like, let me try to date this person, and more hanging on to this idea of, imagine if we met before he got involved in the drugs. That's what was really pulling me in. And that's why that story destroyed me, because it was like this idea of, this is who he was, and then started to struggle. And I just always, even now, I think like I just wish that I met him before any of that happened. And we did have such a strong connection that, like, who knows what could have happened. And I don't even mean yes, in a dating sense, but also just maybe he wouldn't have went down that path. And something that my therapist has said over the years, as we've talked about this, is that like, but you didn't meet him before that. You know, I don't know if you ever said that in those exact words, but it's just like what we were just saying. It's like, oh, but if my partner wasn't drinking or wasn't doing drugs, then it could be this, and this, but they're not. And the same thing, it's like sometimes you gotta accept reality for what it is. I did not meet him before he started using, you know, and he is currently, I don't know what he's doing now, but he, at the time, was currently using, and there's nothing I could do to change that. You know?
I wonder, I mean, obviously now, you know, if you were to actively date again, is it something that you say to yourself, no, you can't be doing drugs? Because I think about with alcohol, I'm not at that point where I don't think that, you know, someone shouldn't have a drink to enjoy themselves. But I think I'm keeping it as like a mental note if I am going on these dates. Like, how much are they drinking? Because I do want to be present for myself, but then I also know that this may take some work at some point in life, at some point in this relationship. And so I would just think like, it's not going to work if you do drink alcohol
at all.
Heavy,
yeah,
like heavy out. Like I don't think it's like an at all moment for me, but like I'm definitely considering it when I'm going on these dates, like seeing what their alcohol consumption is, and then just trying to understand what their overall their overall alcohol consumption is. Because yes, let's go out, let's have a great time, but I do not want to, like, you know, go out with someone and then they're just getting obliterated, and then the relationship becomes, I'm always
totally
caring for them. Like, I will do that once, obviously, I love my partner, love them, and do anything for them. But like, at some point, you just like, that's not something that it should be a habit, where like I'm constantly doing that. And so I see myself in dating people who maybe they don't have to be sober, but I think that they're just conscious of how much alcohol they're drinking. So I wonder if you would feel the same about people who do drugs.
I totally agree with that. I would have no issue dating somebody that drinks or even parties and does drugs and stuff, but they can't have a problem. I've already had enough problem. Like, I don't need any more problem. I think that if I were to date somebody, if somebody were sober, I think that would be a nice plus, because then we have something that I think that there's a lot to talk to about that. There's a lot of similarities that would connect us, but absolutely not a requirement. But to your point, I don't think I could ever date somebody that uses any drugs or alcohol excessively. You know, what do I give a crap if they're rolling tits at market days and it's a once a year thing? You know what I mean? Like, I don't really care.
Yeah. I get you on that. I guess for me, there's still just a little hesitancy with it, because it's more than just, you know, for me going on dates and seeing that other person, like, obviously you were an addict, you lost your friend, and I lost my brother, to drugs as well. It's like there's always that that thought in the back of my mind, like it just takes that one time at market days to get the wrong drug to get something, and like something serious can happen. So like there's just part of me as a personal experience that I'm just like, Ray, you're right. Do you have a problem with this? Like how do I actually navigate this? And it's something that I think I'm still going to learn, because as I date more often, I see like, what can I actually handle when it comes to individuals drinking and doing drugs? Because the fact is, people are doing them, and I'm not going to stop you from doing that. But it's something that I have to feel like, what comfort level do I have with them? And I think most people, who are sober and they're dating, maybe they go through that same thought process as well. Like, how much can they actually handle?
Yeah, I agree. Anyway, I want to talk about, go back to what you said about just about dating and like feeling the feelings of the substance rather than the connection or how that could affect it. Is that like, even with there was also somebody else years ago, maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, that I was kind of seeing romantically in that capacity, where we went to these parties a lot together. That's what we did. Like what we bonded over was going to these circuit parties and doing a Molly, or you know what I mean, which heightens all those feelings. And I crack up because, so this person, I'm not going to mention names, but we officially dated, but for maybe like a month and a half, 2 months. And looking back, it's kind of funny because it's like, on Valentine's Day, I asked him to be my boyfriend on Valentine's Day at fucking Zion. At 3 a.m. Okay,
that's in Atlanta, right?
Right.
Yeah, I remember that club.
Zion was, and I don't think actually that was the name of the club. I think it was the name of the party. Zion is a club is a party in Atlanta that, first of all, I think doesn't start until 2 or 3 in the morning.
It doesn't, yeah.
And it is, the venue has changed over the years, but when I lived in Atlanta and back in the day when it was good, like it was this foggy basement. It was so fun, but it was like it was so seedy and like crazy. And I remember Valentine's Day weekend, because gays are like, Valentine's Day, fucking like, it could be Earth Day, let's do ecstasy. You know what I mean? Like, and I remember that it was packed because it was Valentine's Day, and we went together. And like I said, we did have a romantic relationship at the time, and like, we were just making out and talking about how much we liked each other on Molly. And then I asked him, I told him I want to be boyfriends. We agreed to it. And it's like, it's not like us dating was out of the question, but the thing is, like, one, I had just moved from New Jersey, where I grew up, to Atlanta to live my gay single party life for the first time. This person lives in California and was just getting out of a very long-term, very serious relationship. And it's just like, even though we were romantically into each other, and that made sense, but just logistically, a lot of it made no sense. A lot of it made no sense at the time. We could have worked into that, but it just didn't make sense at the time. But that didn't matter because I was on Molly. You know what I mean? And even when we split up, it was very that. It was like, this just logistically doesn't make sense right now. We still continue to do the same things. We still, that romantic relationship, we were still in it. So, nothing really changed but the label. But it's just like, looking back, it just cracks me up because I'm just like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, I was literally just rolling to like, do you want to be my boyfriend? Yes or no? You know,
on Valentine, it's kind of romantic.
It is kind of beautiful.
It is.
Yeah.
But also it's I don't want to say it's not real because it is real. The feelings were real.
The feelings were real.
The feelings were definitely real. Like without a doubt,
but
you
at
had
Zion,
a connection.
Though.
Yeah.
The feelings that when I asked it to be my boyfriend were enhanced.
Yeah. And the thought that, you know, you could make a decision like that on Molly, on any drug, on alcohol, it doesn't matter. Like people are making decisions, relationship decisions, while
life decisions.
They are, you know, under the influence of something. And that just right there, just you just have to pause and stop and think, you know, I probably shouldn't be making this, but you can't in that moment. You can't.
You can't.
Like when I'm drunk or when I used to be drunk, it's like if I wanted to hook up, I was gonna hook up. Like I was finding somebody to hook up with, but it's like sober me. After like 2 minutes of just trying, I'm just like, you know what, forget it. This is gonna take too long. I'm just gonna go home. I'm tired.
I'm out of it.
Yeah, but like there's this drive of wanting to do it, and it's like, no, I actually wouldn't do that on a normal basis. And just in general, like when you're with somebody too, you know, you probably wouldn't be doing a lot of these things if you weren't under the influence. And so then the other person also gets a false sense of who you are.
Right.
And that right there is not only are you just not sure of it, but now they're not really sure of who you are too. Because let's say for me, drinking alcohol, I'm fun, like to be out there, shots, let's go for it. But like now that I'm sober, I really do want to be in bed at like 9:30 on a Friday.
It's so nice.
Like I don't actually want to go out too often. And if I at the time was dating somebody, they probably would have thought, wow, this is such a fun, wild person. This is great. And it's like, actually, we're going to be spending a lot of our time cuddled on the couch.
Indoors.
Just indoors. Just so we're clear, I have no problem waking up at 6:30 in the morning and just sitting and having coffee. Not getting home at 6:30 in the morning and waking up at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Like, I don't want you to think this is me, because it's actually not
at all.
I'm now learning more of who I am being sober, and I can present myself that way so that the person who's dating me as well goes, this is your authentic self. Right. Not the person who has drugs in them or has alcohol in them.
That reminds me back to the couple I met on the Atlantis cruise. And even not just specifically them, but just everybody on the Atlantis cruise. There's so many people that I have spent a lot of time with, but only at circuit parties. And then there'll be some weird instance where I end up in their city or something, and like, a group of us we'll decide to get lunch or something where nobody's high, and it's just like, holy fuck, I don't know any of these people. And not in a bad way. Right. It's just literally, I don't know them. And now I will, which is good, you know, but it's just like, sometimes that happens where you hang out with somebody in a setting where the drugs and alcohol are not involved, where they always have been, where you're like, oh yeah, you have like hobbies and interests and stuff.
And I don't like them.
Right. And I hate them. I kind of hate this person.
You like sports?
Yeah, it's so interesting. And that's what I was saying. I described it as like this like fantasy land. It's like you go on these, even if it's not the Atlantis cruise, you go to a Pride thing, or you go to a circuit weekend, or to the bar every weekend. And it's just like, you see people in this like heightened version of themselves that's not reality. You know what I mean? And then it's not to say that that's bad, but it is if we're talking about developing authentic friends, finding a compatible companion in terms of dating, then that is really a big deal. You know?
And people do meet each other, at least in our community, right? There is the apps, and then the other option is bars and parties. So like, just if you're not on the app, then in the other settings, there's just more than likely you're gonna be on something, whether you're drinking alcohol or you're doing drugs. And so like the initial meet might just be altered no matter what, just because of the circumstance.
Yeah.
It's actually one of the reasons why I'm happy to be in a different like gay sports leagues, because it's just a way to meet people that isn't revolving around alcohol, even though there's a lot of drinking.
Yeah.
Like afterwards.
But that's a huge
But
point.
Just being on a field or in a court and talking to people, and I think most people are sober. Maybe they went to brunch beforehand or something. But like if you're just sitting there talking to them, there is that genuine like, oh, this is actually just me right now. Like there's nothing alteringly, maybe a little adrenaline because of the sport itself, but for the most part, you're showing up as you.
Well, there's also nothing wrong with a little adrenaline.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Sorry, I'm just on an adrenaline rush right now, not the authentic me.
Yeah. And by adrenaline, I mean I took some poppers, and that's why I'm all red.
You always look like that. Yeah.
Speaking. That's what's down there, isn't it?
That's like you going down there. That actually reminds me, there's a couple that I know that always they're known for arguing and kind of even like taking the mood down at like parties and stuff because they're just always fighting and they have that reputation. But when you take a step back, something I've realized over the years is that yes, they argue a lot. Their arguments though are always centered around the partying and the drugs. Like either they're arguing about the drugs, like, oh, you did too much, or do we have any? I lost mine. You shouldn't do. I don't like it when you do coke. You know,
if you lose drugs, everyone's going to be mad at you.
But you know, either that's the center of the topic of their argument, or they're fighting because it's the afters and they're not fully there. And then I realized like their drug use, their whole relationship is centered around them going to these parties and using drugs and drinking and stuff, that it's like if you strip that away, what would they would be? It would just I'm not saying they couldn't be together. It's just their relationship would be completely different. Mm-hmm. And we don't even know nobody even knows what that is because they've never done that.
They may not know.
They don't. Yeah. They don't. And that's just so crazy to me.
Mm-hmm.
Some people, I've heard stories about like people splitting up after one person got sober because it just completely changed the dynamic.
Yeah.
But I mean,
especially if you both got into it, and that was the thing you did together, and you have to try to find what the other thing is. You have to do that in general if you were single and sober. Right? You have to find yourself again in a way because everything that you did before, some of it is can still be relevant in your life today, but like you really do have to think about everything in a different way because you are just more present. You're not, I'm gonna say, going through the motions. I don't know if you remember when we used to work at when we worked together, and our manager would be like, "Don't go through the motions at work." But it's like, of course I'm gonna go through the motions. I went to bed at like 9 a.m. and I did a bunch of Molly last night. I'm coming into this.
I'm coming
going
in
through
just
the motions.
For the motions and barely.
Right. And so when you're sober, then you're no longer going through the motions. Like you have to think about everything that you did before and be more present and mindful of it. And so everything changes.
Yeah.
And then just thinking about if you were with somebody and now both of you, like only one gets sober or both get sober, like there's a lot there's a lot of thought that's going to go into that, a lot of emotional learning that's going to have to happen, and some readjustment on everything that was, because like you're no longer, what being hungover feels like. We know what that can do to you for a day. We talked about this, a day, a week, 3 weeks.
Right.
Like 3 weeks of going through the motions, and then all of a sudden you're sober and you're like, wait, I don't want to do this anymore.
Right.
Do you not want to do this with me? And then you start, then the whole dynamic with the other person too.
Yeah, that could be a really complicated situation. Well, I just want to go back to something you said a moment ago about your brother passing. So, well, first of all, how old were you at the time and how old was he?
This was in 2017. So this was 8 years ago. I was 31. And I was 31, or I was turning 31. I remember I was just graduating from college as well, and he was 35.
And it was because of drug use?
Yeah. So he unfortunately got into it. He hurt his shoulder and got prescribed specific medications. And I think that was the starting point from him, because then at that point, like, he just continued to trying to find other things after he was no longer able to get the specific medication for his shoulder. And that's where I think we all saw as a family him starting to use more outside of that. And I, that wasn't for more than a couple of years. Like it was a shorter period of time where he got that shoulder surgery and then this continued. He did die of like a mixture of things. I know everyone knows fentanyl is in everything and it's very dangerous. He was working, went out with his boss for some drinks. Then afterwards, I guess, picked up something from somewhere. Don't really know where he got whatever he got.
You don't know what drugs he was doing.
All we know is that he was drinking. Whatever he did get had fentanyl in it and had a large amount of it. And fentanyl can kill you by itself. It is even worse if you're mixing it with alcohol. It's almost like instant. Right. Your heart stops instantly because of the effects of both of them.
That makes sense.
So that, like I said, that happened 8 years ago now, and I remember for those couple of years though, where like we kind of knew he was using, but it was always just like a. Not that we weren't saying anything, but it was hard to like try to approach it.
Right. What do you say? Yeah.
Right. I mean, I'm sure that, if you ever talk, I think you're going to bring on some of your family members that are going to discuss what it's like, being around someone who's an active user. And also at the time I was doing drugs too. I just was, I don't want to say I was more filtered with it, but like I was drinking more than I was just doing drugs. Right.
Yeah.
With him, like I remember we were finding certain, paraphernalia things. And it was like, well, this seems like it's a little harder of a drug here. And, I remember a few times, trying to talk with my other siblings about this and seeing what it is that we can do, because you almost feel like you can't do anything. You want to, but like there is a sense of powerlessness. Yeah. That it's there when you're around someone who's an active user, that like, especially somebody that you love and you care about and you want to do more, but there's almost nothing I can do. And not that I can't do, but like seeing my mom and how much she was doing to try to help. It's like, there's the example of you can pour an endless amount of love into the situation, an endless amount of support into the situation, and it's not going to result in someone choosing to say like, I want to do this.
They have to do it for themselves.
They do. And like, as the years have gone by, like I start to reflect on those couple of years where we kind of knew what was going on, and like thinking, was there a moment that we could have done more? I could have done more. But I don't think there was.
Do you feel like, do you remember a time where you were you close to your brother?
Yeah. I mean, we lived together at the time. So
you were pretty close to your brother?
My family was pretty close just in general, because it was just us. So like we were definitely a close family.
And then during this time, did you feel like there was a period where there was some distance created because of the drugs?
Yeah, absolutely. Because it became unsafe, or it felt like it was unsafe. Like I remember, because I was living with him at the time, there was a moment where he was just acting very weird and like being violent with the chair. Like it was like something he was doing, like hitting a bat on it. And I was just kind of thinking like, this isn't normal. This isn't safe. Like this isn't okay. And I remember looking at him, he looked at me, and I was leaving to work. So it was just like, I don't know what to do at this point. I'm going to walk away from this. And I remember telling my sister like, hey, I don't know what's going on up there, but this is something that I feel like I can't process. Like there was that distance. Like every time I saw him and I knew he was high, because like I knew it. You could tell. You totally know when you live with someone, like when they're using and when they're not. It's and what he was using, never even bothered to like try to find more details on that. Right. Because like it kind of didn't matter because I didn't feel safe with like being too close, which sucks because it's your brother.
Yeah,
right. Like it's the person you love, and you're like, I want to be around you, and I want to like have this relationship with you, but it's off whenever we are next to each other.
I asked that because my sister describes that when I was first getting on heroin and just drugs in general. She talks about how, because we were always very, very close, and then she felt like she barely knew me, and it's just kind of sad.
Because I'm sure you, without knowing, distanced yourself.
Yep. Because I didn't want to get in trouble. Right. I didn't want her to know. I didn't want her to suspect. Right.
And so I think that's probably what my brother did too, where he would like try to just stay in his room and like not be around or not come out and talk or like not come home. You know what I mean? Or come home when everyone's asleep. Like all of a sudden you're just seeing someone less than you were before. And it was an interesting time in my family too, because like my mom had moved out, and then it was me and my two brothers living together, and my sister was living in the apartment downstairs. And so like it was the first time that like our mother wasn't there to like talk and be there and like be the one to say something or do something. And I think that just kind of left it to be like, well, we're not going to say anything,
right? Because
what do you say? Like, how do you go about this situation with showing compassion, but also knowing like I don't want to get hurt here either. Like,
right.
I don't want to get too involved in everything, and it sucks because like I said, it's the thing I think about the most. It's like, could I have done more? Should I have done more? And then I have to just tell myself like, no, that's you couldn't. Right. Like I have to just remind myself like, no, there was nothing that you could do. It had to have come from him, but unfortunately, he passed away before that could even happen.
Did it happen at home or what?
No, wherever he got his stuff from, he was found unconscious at a gas station bathroom.
Wow.
And I actually drive by that gas station every day because it's on my way to work. And I remember thinking like, oh, at the first couple of times, like there was like a feeling of, oh shit, this is where it happened, and I see it. And yesterday when I drove home from work, it's like it's there. It's the same gas station that I see because of the route to work. I could go around it, but like it's just it's there.
And
right?
going around it makes it more of a
it doesn't.
issue.
And I remember the first time I was driving with my mom, and we had to drive to Newark for some reason, and then we were driving. And as we're driving, I'm taking that route, and I'm just thinking like, well, I know what it is. I'm not gonna tell my mom. And my mom looks over and she's like, wait, is that? And she just stopped. I'm like, oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, like I didn't think about it because I drive by it. Like I've been trying to get used to it.
Yeah.
And now I have to, I brought my mom through it, and we had a little discussion on it, but it seeing that place all the time just does remind you of it.
Yeah.
And to think like no one was there for him in that moment. That's the part that hits hard.
Yeah.
Every time.
For sure. I can imagine.
And like my mom, I always feel for my mom because like, losing a brother, that's hard. But like if you're a parent, like losing your child is, and it's just, you never recover from that. No.
Right. And you expect to lose a parent. You might expect to lose a sibling. But parent should never have to bear their child.
And you realize like how much that changes the family dynamic too, because if your family is like a puzzle that you've put together, that piece is missing. It's always going to be missing. And the picture will never be the same, and you spend your entire life building that picture with them, and it really has honestly never been the same.
I can imagine.
And like, you think the struggle while they're alive, but then even afterwards, like there's just still so much that each one of us have to work through, and we all process it very, very differently. And even that, I saw a little bit of a distance that was created even with the family, because it was like everyone's hurting. So how do you console each other but also feel your own pain? You know what I mean? Like it was a strange feeling for at least like a good year or two, where it was like birthdays, holidays just felt very weird, because it's like, can we really be happy? Like he died in June, I remember that first birthday, I felt bad of like celebrating it, but like even so now every June it's like it's my birthday, but I also it's my brother died like 2-3 weeks before that.
And even just, I mean, June even to Christmas, which is now, I mean, not that it's not a lot of time anyway, but like, you know, 6 months, whatever. I can imagine that weirdness. And very often I think for many of us, it can be more painful to watch our loved ones in grief than to experience the grief ourselves. You know what I mean? And when, like you said, it's like when a piece of the puzzle is removed in a family situation, everyone's in grief.
Yeah.
And that just must be so tough, you know? And it's just like when you're doing these drugs, hard drugs and partying and not telling anybody where you are, you're constantly putting your whole family at risk of this happening. You know, I think if I had passed during the stuff I went through, that I just can't even imagine how that would have impacted my family. And I feel devastated to even talk about that because my friend that died did pass, and that did happen to his family. And I just can't even imagine what they went through for that. You know, it's just devastating.
It's tough. And then, you know, even for you or for me, like we still, even though we had people who died, we still did drugs.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think I've heard you say it before, like having that shame associated with it. It's like part of that was always like, you know, trying to not, like I would make sure my mom didn't know I was doing anything, because it's like there was shame in doing it, knowing that my brother passed away, and here I am still doing EKGs.
Ecstasy, ketamine, and GHB.
Just all together.
In case you're not crazy drug addicts like us.
And by the way, let's take a Viagra just to make sure.
Right, just to do some poppers while we're at it.
My poor heart.
Honestly.
Like not being considerate of my family.
Your family.
Like they lost, we lost my brother. And then here I am, you know, doing stuff. And I'm not saying it was part of my decision to get sober, but like it's in there, right? It's there going like, oh, this was a really good decision, because it was terrible. It still is terrible to think about like losing someone, right? And like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So like, I'm glad that I'm sober and I'm not doing these things, because I feel like that it's a way to, you know, quietly show up all the time. Like I know that if something does happen to me, it'll just be a freak accident of some sorts, but like I'm trying to make sure that I'm not going to cause that type of you know, trauma again, because it, like I said, it takes the one time.
Yeah.
My brother, you know, it was just happened to be alcohol with that one, whatever he got that had a lot of fentanyl, right? But like, it's not like he did a lot of it. It's just like everyone else, you know what I mean? Times I drink and used to drink and just do coke. It would have just been that one time that cocaine had fentanyl in it that would have also ended my life. Like, it's that easy.
Totally. I never thought about that your story also has that element of guilt and shame of drug use, likely because of your brother. I knew that your brother passed away from drugs, but I never thought about that. And that's, it's really tough. It's really tough because you want to live your life. You want to go out and party with your friends, but then you think of these things, and it just can bring you to a dark place, you know?
Yeah.
And it actually, all of this reminds me of a really funny, sad, and effective billboard I saw once. Okay. No, it was a billboard for Don't Drink and Drive.
Okay.
It was literally a picture of a dog, and it basically implied that, like, your dog, if you die in a car accident because you drank, your dog won't know what happened. You just won't come home.
Copper.
I know. It's like I will never drink again. That's the truth about what.
I don't have a dog.
Whoever thought of that, genius.
Yeah.
Because we don't give a fuck about ourselves. Like,
No.
people don't give a fuck about their families even. But my dog? Like, that's so sad.
I wonder if there is anything, I haven't been to any meetings, but if this is anything that people talk about with, like, because you're not supposed, it seems like shame, and that you would shame a person and say, look what would happen to your family if you don't come sober. Like there's a part of that makes me feel like you're shaming an addict even more, or you're shaming someone who is using drugs or drinking alcohol even more if you're saying, look what you're doing to your family. It's like, oh, well, first of all, they're probably going through a lot to begin with. Like it's hard when you are addicted and you're in it, and it's something that's just, you're doing every single day or every single week. You're already struggling, and then now I already feel shame. Now you're telling me to feel more shame because I'm going to affect my family. I don't know if there's anything about how to approach that, because if anything, I would hope too that anyone listening to this, it's like, if you have someone who is using around you, whether it's, you're dating or whether it's a family member, it's like, how can we use our experience, right, to help support, right? I don't want you to feel any regrets. I feel, you know what I mean? Like I want to try to help, but I also want to know, I don't want you to shame the person that you love.
Right.
And say, hey, you're going to really hurt your mom if you die. Like, that sucks to hear.
Right. No, that's a good point. It's not, very often somebody in this situation also is struggling. You know what I mean? If you lost somebody to drugs, there's a lot of people that are still doing drugs because they also are dealing with their own issues. It's not that simple. You know what I mean? That's what Trisha in my first episode, when we talk about my friend that passed, I was saying how how his family, they lost their son, rightfully so, hated my guts. And she said, but you were also struggling. And it's true. I was also in active addiction, where I had no control over my life. You know what I mean? I didn't want to be there. I didn't want that to happen. I didn't want to be addicted to heroin, So it's tricky. It's challenging. Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you coming to talk about interpersonal relationships today. Where can people find you, and do you have anything to plug?
I don't have anything to plug, but you can find me at buddybear_Biggie on Instagram, and reach out if you have anything you ever want to talk about.
Or if you want to go on a sober date.
Oh, remember my dating video? Dean. I should bring Dean
We should put clips of that on Stop the Podcast.
Right. I'm going to make another dating video. It's going to be a sober one. It's my alter ego, Dean.
Dean was
my first and last name. Yeah. Right. Dean actually was on drugs. Anyway.
You can find me in all my links at drewvalentino.com, including this podcast, which is stoptheridepodcast.com, and we will see you next time. Bye.